Hello everybody, it's me, the bigger fish. I'm back and I'm not doing any walk review this time. As you can tell, I don't have my co-host, Aaron. It's just me. I'm here at college. I'm in quarantine. I'm really bored. And so, in my boredom, I decided to watch the show Community as it just got added to Netflix. And I decided to do some big fish thought. Or what was I going to call this? I had this big title. We can call it Big Fish Recommendations. So, my first Big Fish recommendation is going to be Community, because I just watched it, and I feel like it's a show that doesn't get enough love in the sitcom world that we live in, with people that love The Office, and there's people that love Parks and Rec, and Friends, even though I've never seen Friends, because it's a 90s show, and let's be real, 90s television isn't my thing. I like my modern crap, like techno, Babel, Star Trek, like Picard, freaking love Picard.
An unmitigated disaster.
Yeah, I didn't like Picard. But anyways, I'm here to talk about Picard. Talk about Picard. I'm not talking about Picard. That show is alright. I'm here to talk about Community. So, Community is about this. Let's see, what's his name? I gotta remember a character's name. I have my lucky phone. Okay, let's try that again. Community is about a character named Jeff Winger, who is a failed lawyer. His license just got revoked because they found out he cheated through all his exams. So he has to go back to community college to get his degree back. And he joins a study group with a bunch of weird, quirky characters, and sitcom stuff happens. I guess it's the best way to describe it, even though there's a lot more to it than that. But anyways, let's see here. Where do I want to go with this? I don't have any notes. Let's talk about just the premise. I feel like community college is a really good place to do a sitcom. You have the Office, yeah, it's in an office. Parks and Rec, in a boring Parks and Rec place. In sitcoms, you like the boringness of the place where the comedy brings out, whereas you have good, likable characters that are going to bring out fun, happy moments in these places that all of us know. All of us go to work, so you like the Parks and Rec, and then with college, everyone's been to a dumb school and had to deal with dumb people. But anyways, there's a lot more to Community. I know I've already said this. There's a lot more to Community than just that. I would say season 1 is very similar to shows like The Office or Parks and Rec, where they're in this dull situation and a lot of fun comes from these mundane things that happen to them. Thus, a sitcom, because it's situational comedy. But let's talk about the people behind the show. So there's Dan Harmon, and if you don't know who Dan Harmon is, well, he created Rick and Morty with Justin Roiland, so if you like Rick and Morty, it's very similar to that style of humor, very pessimistic at times. Joel Winger is a lot like Rick, where Joel thinks he's better than everyone else a lot of the times. Joel does it in a much more likable way than Rick. Rick's a fun character because you kind of hate him, but he's so smart that you still like him in Rick and Morty. But Joel is the actor's name who plays him. Joel McHale plays Jeff Winger. So you learn to love Jeff, but over time, because he can be kind of a scumbag character at times. So can all the other ones. So the show is also executively produced, at least the first 4 seasons, by, wait for it, the Russo brothers. Now, you're probably like, who the crap are the Russo brothers? Well, if you like the freaking Avengers, then you like the Russo brothers, let me tell you. The Russo brothers, they directed Captain America, The Winter Soldier, which a lot of people say is the best Marvel movie ever made. They also did Captain America, Civil War. Also, that's one of my personal favorites. I just rewatched it. They also directed Avengers Infinity War, and they also directed Avengers Endgame. So if you like any of those movies and are like the humor in them, therefore you should like this. Like, it's got very similar humor. The Russo brothers also worked on another comedy I like called Arrested Development, and that has actors in it. I can't remember the actor. Jason Bateman, yeah, that's who it is. But okay, back to Community. So let's go through the characters, because in my opinion, it's the characters that bring the heart of this. So you have Jeff Winger, who's the failed lawyer. He's very pessimistic, but he's also very self-centered. But he has a lot of good growth through the show, so you learn to love him. Britta Perry by Jillian Jacobs. So she really likes social trends and trying to start all these saving all these social injustices. But in the end, she never does any good, and that's kind of where her comedy comes from. She's not my favorite character, but she's cool. Abed Amir is my personal favorite character because he has a hard time relating to other people, but the way he relates to people is through movies. So the whole time he's making movie references, he relates every situation into a movie or TV show, and he also breaks the fourth wall a lot. Something you have to know about Community over the other sitcoms is that Community really likes breaking the fourth law and being meta, where Abed, he makes a bunch of meta jokes. He always talks about how he wants 6 seasons in a movie.
The show's gonna last 3 weeks! 6 seasons in a movie!
He always talks about, right now in the plot line, we need to have this happen. This happens a lot in Rick and Morty. You can tell that's a Dan Harmon influence. It sets the show apart. Then you have, let's skip over to Troy. So Troy is Abed's best friend. He was a high school football star, and he was like got all the girls in high school, but then he got to college and he realized he wasn't as cool as he was, so now he's joining the study group, and he's not the brightest guy, but he's really goofy and really lovable, and he builds a really strong relationship with Abed, and they have the best bromance of all time. Like, nothing romantic between them, but it's just an epic bromance that I haven't seen in any other sitcom, how epic this bromance is. And then Annie was kind of picked on in high school, and she got picked on to the point where she had a drug problem and she had to go to rehab, and so she's coming back. But she's actually really book smart, and she's really driven. She wants to be the best she can, but she's also very driven on how people perceive her. So she has a lot of good growth. I like Annie. She's my favorite. And then the last person I'll talk about is Ben Chang. He's one of those side characters that comes in. Well, he becomes a main character, but he comes in a lot. He starts out as the Spanish teacher, but he evolves a lot. But anyways, I think what makes Community good and also stand apart from Parks and Recs and The Office, where Parks and Recs and The Office, they know they're in a mockumentary, or they know they're in a documentary, I guess. And so, like, they're very self-aware that they're being filmed. Community, the whole time, they act as if, what if we are being filmed? That's where Abed comes in. He says, you know, if we were being filmed right now, this would happen. And so that's where the meta jokes come in. And so they pretend like they're in a TV show, but they don't actually think they're in a TV show. And so that's kind of like, I don't know, it's just a fun thing they play with, is that they're not in a TV show, but even though this is a TV show. And so all these meta jokes that come in, I know, it's hilarious, and that's why I love Abed. Going back to Abed, he's one of my favorite sitcom characters of all time. He makes the show. Like I said, he works really well with all the other characters. They have really good chemistry with all of them, and they all have, each episode they'll play with different character dynamics, but it all comes back to Troy and Abed. Those two, heart of the show.
What's going on? Where are the cameras?
Oh, we're not filming this. Now, who'd want to watch this?
Oh, guys, it's 6 a.m. Jeez.
But, so here's the thing. So I already talked about how season 1 is just very standard sitcom, community college sitcom where they go to class, goofy things happen, goofy side characters come in, blah, blah, blah. But then something happens, and then in season 2, they realize they can kind of do other things that wouldn't happen in real life. There's a lot of plot lines that you're like, okay, so this goes from being something that could actually happen with like weird, funny situations to all these crazy plot lines with paintball or alternate realities, you name it, like weird sci-fi tropes. They play with it all. But they do it in a way where you don't hate it, where you're like, I can see how this is still a show about people in community college, even though they play with all these weird sci-fi tropes. And once again, this all comes back to Abed, because Abed relates everything to movies. You just have to watch the show to see how it is. So the golden age of the show, I would say, is seasons 2 through 4, where they really hit their stride. But then something happened where in season 5, the show kind of got canceled, or it was being threatened of being canceled. Season 5, a lot of characters left. I won't say who. Let's just say that important characters left that ruined the character dynamics. And so they had to introduce new characters, and they weren't the same because they were brand new, and so they didn't have all the built-up things that all these other characters had. And also then season 6 got moved to an internet. I think we got moved to Yahoo. Who watches Yahoo? Come on. But anyways, they got moved to Yahoo, and then the time went from 20 minutes to 28 minutes, and then the extra 8 minutes did not help with the comedic timing at all. And so the show kind of went, So the golden age, even Abed says in the show, the golden age is seasons 2 through 4. That's where all these weird, cool sci-fi plots. Also, I think the Russo brothers left after season 4. And so I would recommend, after season 4, just going through a skip list, watching the better episodes, because actually the finale of the show is good. Other side things about Community, they have a side character named Garrett who pops up every once in a while. You gotta talk like this, like Toosh Goose, I guess.
Crisis alert! A civil war has broken out in Ethiopia!
But I don't know, every time he's on screen, I get a huge smile and I get a huge kick out of it. There's also Leonard, this really old guy that they always pick on. He's great. There's some other main characters. Oh, the Dean. I haven't even talked about the Dean yet. The Dean is very, very flamboyant and very much has a thing for Jeff Winger, and the comedy that they get from him because he's so like, I don't know, it's good. Him and Jeff, because they kind of like they're friends, even though like Jeff kind of hates them. They're still friends. You just have to watch it. So what I'm trying to get at is that the show, it turns into its own thing through after season 2, and it really hits its stride and becomes a sitcom that's not like Parks and Rec or The Office, but it's just as funny and it's just as lovable. I would say the biggest downfall to Community is that it doesn't have a Jim and Pam or like a Ben and Leslie. There's no strong romantic tension between any of these characters. They fiddle with romance between the characters. Sometimes they'll be in a relationship, but then they'll forget about it for a few episodes. That's something the show and with all the meta jokes, the show knows that it kind of failed at that, and they'll mention it. But it just kind of stinks that they couldn't land a strong, good romantic relationship, just like in The Office or Parks and Rec. Like I said, it has one of the best bromances of all time, Troy and Abed. Great bromance, but just romantically, they're missing that Jim and Pam dynamic. So I would say that's one big flaw, and also that seasons 5 and 6 kind of got... But overall, great show, great sitcom. So if you're looking for a new sitcom that's like The Office or Parks and Rec, but it's also different, but just as funny, but has likable characters, please watch Community. This is the Big Fish, Luke Davis. This is, what am I going to call this again? Big Fish Recommendations. This has been Big Fish Recommendations with yours truly, Luke Davis. And please watch out for more videos because I'm going to be doing more of these because I am really bored here at college in quarantine. Thank you.